Hey everyone, it's me, Doomlink, and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD version. It is currently part 24 for my Let's Play, and when this was recorded, it was indeed the 30th of November 2016. What I just said there probably indicates to you that I am not currently doing a live audio recording, but rather a post-commentary recording. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I wasn't a huge fan of my original commentary here for various reasons that I won't actually go into. It just didn't really turn out too well, so I'm doing it again here. Which, I mean, I've mentioned before that I'm not a huge fan of post-commentary, so generally if I am going to the extent of, you know, doing a post-commentary, it's usually because either the commentary that was originally recorded is either completely unsalvageable or totally shit. So yeah, in this case it's the latter, so I'm gonna do a post-commentary because, well, I don't need to tell you that, it's pretty obvious that I'm doing a post-commentary at this point. But yeah, so I remember when I was first playing through this game, I didn't really know. When I say first playing through this game, I mean like back in 2007 or whatever, when I first played this thing. 2007, 2008, one of those two years, I can't really recall when I first got Wind Waker. It was one of those 2 years, but I did have problems getting to that statue when I was first playing through, because I just didn't even think of my my Deku Leaf for some reason. I was trying to use the command melody to get the statue down, but well, not the command melody. I was trying to do that as well, but I was also trying to use the call function to bring it down on the other side of that, and then use the command melody to bring it across that. But, you know, you do need to use the Deku Leaf to get that sort of, well, to get in range of that call button, and unless you do that, you can't really get there. At least as far as I know, because I do remember having that problem before, and yeah, I'm just throwing 4 of these Armo statues. I think you might only need to throw 3, but just in case I threw an extra one there, just to make sure that this doesn't go down at all. I think it is able to go down once, perhaps, or maybe not. You see, there are a few different levels it can drop, and perhaps if it does drop that one single level, we won't be able to get across. I can't really remember, but yeah, I did throw 4 Armo statues just for good measure, and I will mention that this is the final statue that we need to bring to this main room, so yeah, that was a pretty quick and easy final statue. But we've already done the most difficult one, I suppose, which was the one that required the dungeon item to fully bring over into the main room here, because, I mean, it wasn't necessarily the most difficult. I say that simply because it took the longest out of all of them, as far as I can recall. But anyway, we now have access to the rest of the dungeon here. As I did mention in the previous part, I am quite sure this dungeon moves very much in a linear direction. It, in fact, gives us access to the boss key in such a way that we can't miss it. It's impossible. You can't actually continue through the dungeon unless you get the boss key, because it's incorporated into the puzzle that allows you to continue. So, yeah, as you're about to see, we are currently doing that puzzle. You can see the boss chest on the other side of that there, so we need to actually bring some Armos Knights through here, or Armos Knight statues. I call them Armos Knights because that's pretty much what they look like, but these are their statue versions, the ones that don't move. But you will see that these Armos Knight statues are not going to be statues forever. And once we step on those 3 things, we can open this chest, and it's not really much of a surprise as to what's going to be inside the chest, because the boss key chest is indeed quite unique. You will only find a big key or boss key, whatever you want to call it, in one of those chests. And as you can see, these Armos Knights have come alive. And I will mention that these guys are way easier to kill in this game, like in this version of the game, I will say, compared to the GameCube version. I don't know why they decided to change it. Probably because they really were too hard to kill. You had to be really quick when circling around them, because they would track you really well, and they wouldn't get frozen in place when you did successfully hit them like they did there. So yeah, and there was a heart stuck on the top of that, and I was very astounded by that. But anyway, you know, pretty low chance of that sort of thing happening. But yeah, now that we have killed those Armos Knights, we can continue, and this is pretty much taking us directly to the boss door. So yeah, as I said, very linear direction. Not so much with the statues. Well, even with the statues it's rather linear, because you're only given access to one statue direction at a time. But yeah, we can indeed use our arrows to destroy these set direction. I don't really know what to call them. I guess single direction BMOS, but yeah, I made sure to kill that enemy in a place where I could actually pick up its golden feather, because you can easily kill them over the edge there, and then obviously their golden feather disappears. And I will say that you can probably destroy the regular BMOS, the ones that actually track you with the arrows, but it's a lot more difficult obviously when they're actually aiming for you there. And there's an example of how easy it is for your golden feather to end up over the side. So yeah, wow, those BMOS are actually a lot less reactive in the HD version compared with the GameCube version. Trying to get past them in the GameCube version without destroying them was oftentimes a little bit difficult, but not in the HD version. I mean, if they really needed to make it easier in the HD version, then yeah, wow. I mean, Wind Waker's generally been considered by most to be the easiest Zelda game, but they could be easier, I'm not too sure, I can't really remember, but yeah, I would say generally that it's among one of the easiest games, but that's not a negative thing, because it's just more fun to play that way, I find. It's just one of those games that is really enjoyable to play, and I think if they made it too difficult, let's say at the level of some of the other 3D Zelda games, it probably wouldn't be as fun to play. But this is indeed Gohdan. This is a Zelda game that doesn't actually display the names of the bosses, but I do remember most of the boss names, fortunately. Just because I have always been interested in the OSTs of the Zelda series, so therefore, when it comes to boss themes, I often look online. Well, I used to look online to listen to their OSTs, and I would find out the boss names that way. So for a long time I have been aware of the Wind Waker boss names for that reason. I didn't necessarily look online specifically for the boss names, but rather the boss OSTs, which would include the names of the bosses, so that's why I can remember them. I will mention also, targeting is very important. At this point I'm actually equipping my bombs. You don't actually need to pause to equip the bombs, or to equip whatever you want to equip, but it does definitely help to actually pause, because obviously it'll be a bit harder to do things in real time. But what I was trying to say before was that targeting in this boss fight is extremely important, so using L targeting to target the hand eyes, and also the eyes of the Gohdan himself, and then also targeting when you throw the bomb into Gohdan's mouth to make sure that it is also on target. So I will say that if you don't do that, life will be very difficult. And as you can see here, I'm shooting the hands too slowly here, so yeah, try to do that as quickly as possible, because as you can see I was doing it reasonably fast. I mean, it wasn't that slow, but yeah, and as you can see we get some more arrows from Gohdan when we run out. The reason for that is not because the game is being super illogical, it's actually because Gohdan is not a true boss in the sense that he wants to kill us for some reason. He's not like a servant of Ganon. He's in fact just an ancient creature that's testing us or something, I don't know, kind of testing us to see whether or not we should be given access to the castle under the sea. That may or may not be a spoiler, I'm not too sure, but yeah, anyway, it probably is, but if you're not concerned about spoilers, then great, but if I've just ruined your life, then I apologise, but I don't think I have, but if I have, then I apologise. Once again, I think I apologised twice. That's, yeah, I think you guys are alright with me now. You're not going to go and unsubscribe, you should be quite fine, but anyway, as you can see, it's a slightly time-consuming boss, because there are a lot of things to shoot, and you do get more arrows, which is very important, because you are not going to be able to do this boss fight in 30 arrows, I'm sorry. You're simply, well, maybe you can do it in 30 arrows. If you have 100% accuracy, you can probably do it in 30 arrows, but at the same time you probably won't have 100% accuracy, because things like that. See how I was completely on target there, yet I was hitting his massive frickin' nose? I mean, stuff like that is stuff you don't really account for. I guess you need a specific range. You need to be more distant from him, otherwise you'll hit his massive nose, but we won't talk about his nose being massive because he's probably a bit self-conscious about it, but anyway. Yeah, that's relatively easy to avoid. That looks kind of difficult to avoid, and it is definitely intimidating. That's that series of, I guess, fireballs that he shoots, but they're actually pretty easy to avoid. The path can now be opened. O Chosen One. What will now come to pass is tied to your fate, to the path that you have chosen. Go forward with caution. Will do. And then that opens up, but as you can see, Gohdan is returning into the wall there, and that entire interaction is kind of an indication that he was indeed just testing us, and he has indeed deemed us suitable, and we are going to take his filthy heart container, which was living in his nose for thousands of years probably. I don't really know how that works, but I don't know how long the Tower of the Gods has been there. I mean, it looks kind of like an ancient place, but nothing like that really existed in the other Zelda games, so I don't really know. The Forest Haven, yeah, I mean, we need to kind of link it to Ocarina of Time in a sense, because the Great Sea is more or less the Ocarina of Time Hyrule, but under the water. So the Forest Haven is more or less the Kokiri Forest, but there was nothing really like the Tower of the Gods, so I mean, how old is it really? The whole Tower of the Gods business. I don't know. We can't exactly draw direct comparisons to Ocarina of Time, because, you know, it is Zelda and it's not always going to make sense. My golden rule when it comes to Zelda is don't question it. Sometimes it just, yeah. If you try and question a Zelda game, you're just going to be sitting there asking questions for a very long time and there will be no answers to come. But anyway, now that we are ringing the bell after defeating the Tower of the Gods boss, we will indeed be given access to a new area. Under the sea. But, terrible reference and I'm never going to do it again. But, we very quickly end up on the King of Red Lions and start sailing through there. You have done well, Link. It would seem the gods have acknowledged you to be a true hero. But this does not mean your trials have ended here. Once you take your first step into the world beyond the ring of light you see shimmering in the waves before you, your true trial will begin. Are you ready, Link? Well, imagine if he said that he wasn't ready. That would be a little bit anticlimactic. It's no point asking that sort of question. Oh no, I think I'm going to go to Windfall Island first. I feel like a glass of milk at the milk bar. But anyway, as you can see, we are descending into the water here. I don't really need to tell you that, it's just because I don't have much else to say. As you can see, Link thinks he's drowning, but he, in fact, is not. That would be kind of anticlimactic as well. There is a siren in the background, I hope you can't hear it. Of course, that is not inside the game itself. I don't believe that they had fire engines in Hyrule at that time, so yeah, it's not a part of the game. But regardless, we can see a Triforce there, which kind of gives us an idea of where we're actually descending to. We've got a big castle there that looks a lot like... Well, to be fair, this was the original castle that the one in Spirit Tracks was based off, but if you look at the Hyrule Castle in Spirit Tracks, it looks pretty much identical to this thing. Which is understandable because Spirit Tracks Phantom Hourglass kind of directly correlates to Wind Waker in a sense. So yeah. I definitely will play Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks at some point in time. I would like to keep Phantom Hourglass for my 10th anniversary of Doom Link, but we'll do that later, regardless. At least on the 10th anniversary of my first Let's Play, which was in 2009, so in 2019 I will do a Let's Play of Phantom Hourglass. Don't worry, I'll be able to keep myself entertained through other means, because realistically I'll have so many things that I can Let's Play during that time, so many different Zelda games, so you don't have to worry about me not doing other Zelda games. I'll try and always have at least one Zelda game running on my channel. Breath of the Wild wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, but anyway. As you can see, that water that's flowing there is stopped in place, and that kind of gives you an indication that time has stopped where we are here, and there's pretty muddy looking colours going on there, and you can still see what the colours originally were. To my memory, in the GameCube version, it was a little bit more monochrome, and, well, not necessarily monochrome, but, you know, it had kind of like a grey, brown, and white sort of hue scale going on. I don't really know if that's the right way to refer to it, but anyway, yeah, I don't think that the original colours were quite so visible here, but you can clearly see that the ground is green and that the wall is white and that the water is blue. It's just very faint, those colours, so yeah. Anyway, I guess I continue around in a circle here for a while, kind of admiring the scenery. I'm going to keep that in because I want you guys to be able to see what's actually going on here, but yeah, in the previous video, I actually mean the opposite of that. In the next video, how about that? I actually said something completely ridiculous right there. Not unusual for me. But yeah, in the next video, I will be going into the Hyrule Castle area. The King of Red Lions didn't want to explain to us exactly where we were right now because there wasn't any time, but as you can see, I'm not quite in a rush here. Just running around cutting the grass for someone, you know. I'm the castle's grass cutter. I'm not the hero of time, I am in fact the Hyrule Castle gardener. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. The next video, of course, will be part 25. It is currently part 24. This was originally recorded on the 30th of November 2016, and this post-commentary was recorded on the 17th of August 2017. Regardless, I will see you guys in the next video. Catch you later.